Super quick and painless and easy for you.
Oh, I'm not good at this, don't worry.
What do you mean?
Oh, I'm bad at this.
You're so full of shit.
Are my knees in the shot? Because I totally would have worn pants. Whatever.
You want them to not
They're
be
just
in the shot.
knees. They're just.
This one is a close-up of your face.
My face is in the shot? Fuck. Fuck. All right. Let's see what happens.
You look great.
Yeah, of course.
It's exactly your knees are in the shot, but nothing below it.
I'm gonna go like this the whole time. I'm gonna rub my knees like a set of nipples.
I thought I saw you yesterday, but I didn't stop because you was walking the opposite way.
Let's go.
All right, let's do this. We're at Reggae Rise Up with Slug himself, one half of Atmosphere. What's up? Oh, were you looking for him?
Yeah, I was looking for you.
Hey, I was over here.
So you guys were in Salt Lake City yesterday.
We were in Salt Lake City yesterday.
And Aspen,
And
the
Aspen,
day before.
The day before.
How do you travel so often, and are you comfortable with it? Have you gotten used to it?
I think maybe I have gotten used to it, and just didn't notice. But also, I'm not comfortable with it, but I am. You have to be, because it's what you kind of have to do if you're gonna do this. If you're gonna go out and play music for people, unless you can just get everybody to come to your city, just make a pilgrimage to Minneapolis and see us, you know. But yeah, you know, the traveling part is not my favorite part, but the other parts are also rewarding that you kind of put up with the traveling part. It's like commuting to work that's not anybody's favorite part. I take that back, you know, with the headphones and the right music, maybe that commute is the best part of the workday. But for me, it's not.
Do you have something on the road that you take with you that like you have to have when you're on the road? Otherwise, you're just like losing your mind.
Everything. I fill that bus up with so much stuff. I'm such anybody on my bus could say this about me. I'm such a pack rat. I'm a hoarder by nature. By nature, I'm a hoarder. My mom saved things, kept things, you know. So I'm like half hoarder, half cat lady. And
Do you have cats?
Currently, no.
Okay.
But I have lots of stuff that I have to bring with. I don't want to have to go shop. So I make sure I have anything I might possibly need. I have gauze. You know what I mean? Like I have.
You need gauze.
Do
You're
you?
on stage.
I don't use
You ever
gauze
busted anything on stage?
I've torn my meniscus on stage before. That's terrible. Or, you know, with a torn meniscus, you don't really know when it happened per se. You know what I mean? But I definitely got off stage and was like, yo, that's not cool.
I think you are probably one of my favorite lyricists of all time. And I was hoping maybe we could get into it a little bit, because for me, I do a lot of things, but writing has always been something that I struggle with, and specifically getting a finished product. And I know a lot of people that I talk to and kind of connect with struggle to do the same thing. And I saw something where you had talked about your process in writing albums, and like you used to have a bunch of shit on like loose leaf paper and had different stuff that you'd piece together. And for another album, you decided to take a different approach. Was going from kind of that method to having a more organized approach easy, and how did you do it?
It was important to do that, but basically the real indicator was it went from having to find any moment that I could to write stuff down to becoming more of a streamlined process where you sit and you train yourself to sit and write. You spend some time writing, as opposed to just be like, oh, I have an idea at this bar, let me write it on a napkin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but instead, you still remember things that you think of randomly, and with the notes app in your phone, it's really easy to jot down lines or words or things that you think of that you like. But to actually have the privilege to dedicate time on a regular basis, you know, whether it's 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours a day, to just write, I think that was necessary for me, just to really be able to grow, to evolve. I don't want to say grow. Grow indicates positive. Evolve, whether I write better now or worse or whatever, it's evolution, and that has to happen. You can't write the same way for 20 years.
Did you ever have or go through a traumatic event where you thought your writing was going to be affected?
I don't know that I've ever consciously thought that. I think that I was always more afraid of my writing being affected because I quit cigarettes, or my writing is going to be affected if I don't drink coffee. Weird stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've ever had an incident or a situation that made me go, this is going to change the way I write. Well, that's not true. Honestly, the effect comes from other people, though. People will tell you something, or people will have an experience with you that might alter the way that you write. But I guess that's just, you don't really think about it in the making. Or I don't really think about that when, I just totally beat up your microphone.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Beat it up.
All right. I don't always think about it while it's happening, but in hindsight, 2020, you can see that, that affected what I did here, or that experience altered the trajectory or made me make some new choices. There's been times in my life where I've thought about my approach based on mostly how it's affected other people, and just trying to become more responsible about not, I used to have this thing that I said, I'm not allowed to hurt anybody but myself with my words. Try to keep it there if possible.
That's really conscious of you too. I feel like some people just struggle with getting shit out on paper just alone,
Well, I'm old as fuck. I think I should be conscious of this by now. I don't think that everybody's there, or that they should be. I think it takes time to start to grow these types of relationships between your work and your art and the actual world that you live in. Because oftentimes as younger artists, we keep them kind of separated. It's ours. It's selfishly ours. Our art is ours. And in time you learn, no, it's not actually. It just came out of you. But it belongs to anybody. It belongs to whoever wants it, whoever likes it, whoever appreciates it now owns a piece of that. You know what I mean? And so then you start to think of it a little differently, and you think about it in the terms of like, what can I do that's going to
Get what you need.
You're good?
Yeah.
it's the walkthrough.
I'm always doing that.
Does he casually just walk in and go, all right?
I texted him as we were sitting here saying, all right, get ready to walk through, so that I don't have to finish answering that question.
Oh, fuck. Was it a bad question?
No, it's just, no, I think it just takes time for that side of it to happen, And I see that in music. I don't know how that works in, visual arts or in film or whatever, writing a book, but I see in music where oftentimes if you have the opportunity to get to a certain space, a certain length, if you've been able to do this for a certain amount of years, your relationship to it becomes very, you've gone through it all. You've resented it. You've loved it. It excites you. It drives you crazy. You're bored. You develop all the same relationships that and characteristics of a real human relationship, just like a job. I think if you work anywhere for 20 years, you're gonna develop a different kind of relationship than you would if you were just working there for 3 to 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's all I'm trying to get at. I'm just kind of meandering to say something real simple.
You have such an amazing relationship with your fans. Not a lot of people take time out of their day to just kind of do the one-on-ones and hear stories of people who have related to you and, get a hug or, just hear their story and how you've impacted their lives. Have you had to incorporate any boundary setting with those fans when it comes to that kind of interaction as well?
I mean, there's human boundaries, and depending on who you are, what kind of person you are, you have, but it's not about fans. It's just in general. We all have boundaries that we presumably set for ourselves to protect ourselves or to model how you think people should carry themselves in certain environments. And so that's all that is, though. But that'd be no different than if I was at the grocery store.
Yeah.
I would have the same kind of boundaries. If somebody was acting up, I have my way of processing and possibly addressing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So and it's the same with fans. And so those boundaries they're pretty loose, actually. I don't mean to say it like it sounds like it's really strict or something.
Yeah.
It's like it's you really kind of gotta do a lot to shock me. If anything, there are times where I have to like go into like substitute teacher mode and be like, this is not how we do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for the most part, you know.
Well, because I know you've described yourself as, you know, like somebody that is very empathic and somebody that loves to connect. And it's hard as somebody who can relate to. You said in a couple interviews. Jeez. I picked up on it.
I talk too much. It's because I like the sound of my own voice. It's just because that's what.
I like the sound of your voice. I think a lot of people, I think that's why we're all here. But, you know, sometimes it's hard when you feel for somebody else if they're going through a tough time, or you hear somebody else's story and you empathize with how they feel about it. Sometimes it's hard to not overexert yourself or give too much of yourself without sacrificing other parts of your work life or your family life. And so I was just curious if you ever struggled with kind of cutting people off at a certain line, and not cutting people off, but like making sure you have enough room for you.
I don't know that I would say that that's a struggle that I can, when I think about it, I don't know that I look at it and go, I've had a hard time cutting people off. I think that I'm actually healthy when it comes to cutting people off, healthy for myself when it comes to cutting people off. But I still regret when it has to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, it's not like something that I just randomly do for fun. You know, it's like, I would prefer that to not have to happen. But yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if that answers the question.
It answers my question. Okay. You've talked about your kids a lot, and I know they're a huge part of your life. What would now Slug Sean tell 21-year-old Sean about being a father?
Well, I was a father at 21. My firstborn was when I was 21. And so I can actually, there's a difference that I got to experience two different, I was a parent twice, basically, you know. And the first time was a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress and a lot of, you know, it trained me to become a control freak because of how little was actually in my control at the time. And so I guess now doing it the second time, I did have the opportunity to tell myself to just relax and just, you know, try not to get so worked up about things that don't seem like they're going right. It's okay. Things are going to be okay, you know. And so I guess that's, you know, but you can't tell that to a 21-year-old who's a new parent because it can be stressful.
It's scary. How do you cope with stress or anxiety? Is this just a process that you've...
I think that's an evolution thing as well. I think that, you know, when I was younger, I used to cope with, I guess, dissociating. And then as I got a little older, I would cope with the party. I would use the party, regardless of what that was. You know, consumption, consuming food, consuming people, consuming alcohol. And then I coped with people in a way as far as my kids, my family. I would think of that or use that or hang out with them as my escapism. And then now I'm just back to dissociation, you know, where I started. Yeah. But music was there all along. And that is the only reason why I think I'm in this world. I think I make music because of that. I don't think that I was born to make music. I don't think I was born to write. I think that these things came because they were such powerful coping mechanisms for me, writing and making music, that I just had to figure out a way to do it for a living so I could do it as often as possible.
What was that moment for you when you decided to just like kind of go full force into what you were doing and say, you know what, fuck everybody, this is what I'm doing?
Like a week ago. I don't know really, because it's always been a series of baby step moments that have occurred ever since I was 11. But when I look on it now, I can see all the little signs on the path saying go that way. You know what I mean? Like, but at the point where I was able to stop working for old rich white dudes, that's when I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna really go for this. I'm gonna really go for this. And that was probably 2002.
I love that.
That was God Loves Ugly.
Yeah.
That was when God Loves Ugly came out. We were able to go on a tour that was like fun. It was productive. Like I made great friends. To friends that I have to this day. And from a art space, I was given this like freedom to no longer, to 100% not have to live in a bucket that was created by another artist, but just be like, okay, I'm gonna make my own bucket, you know? And I think that was a huge part of how and why I was so drawn in so fast to, I want that freedom. I want to be able to make music all the time and do it on my own terms, whatever. And that was around 2002. I was 30.
Damn. I think you made that box very nicely for other artists to be able to come in and have somebody that says, Sean did it, I can do it. Is there one trait that you would want your kids to be burned in the back of their brains as adults, as civilized human beings, just navigating through this world? Like what one trait would you hope that you've instilled in them?
Ultimately, I guess the ability to feel what the world is going through. Not just yourself, not just your neighbor, but strangers. Like what is happening to people, and be able to feel that, to be connected to that, to understand that, to relate to that, because you're going to go through yours, and you're going to be connected to a world of grief. And you don't have to grieve all the time, but just know it when you see it. Don't become desensitized to it just because there's so much in your phone. You know what I mean? On a daily basis, you get to see it all, and after a while, it's overwhelming, and you don't know how to carry all that. And so you just gotta be able to recognize it, understand it. You know, you don't have to carry it. Truthfully, you should honor it. However, whatever that means to you, you know, whether that means you take a moment to think about it, or you make a donation, or you fight a cop. Whatever that means to you, honor that grief.
Yeah.
Honor the joy too.
The question I've been burning to ask is, do you introduce yourself to Slug as Slug? To, like, if you were to meet a girl's parents for the first time, do you go?
It's pretty rare that I don't even introduce myself as Slug to the fans. I'm like, hi, I'm Sean. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, no.
Have you talked about where you got that name, or where you came up with that name?
Oh, it's a nickname, a childhood nickname. My father's nickname was Sluggo.
Oh my God, I love that.
I got to be Little Sluggo. I leaned into it extra harder as I got older, though, especially with rap. Like, it wasn't something that I actually like promoted or wore as a kid. It just was there.
Yeah.
But when I started rapping, I leaned into it harder. Because somebody was like, "That's a good rap name."
It's a great rap name.
So I was just like, fuck it, okay. So I started rapping as Sluggo, and Sluggo got shortened to Slug.
5 artists you would want to see perform at a festival, dead or alive.
Oh, I'm not good at that.
No?
Nah, I mean, the Fat Boys, Grateful Dead.
Deadhead, I love it.
I don't know their music.
I don't either.
I just know that there is a reason why they are what they are. I never got to see it, So I would put them on the festival if I could. I would like to see it. Prince.
100%. Prince was on my list for sure. I've never seen him. I think he'd be awesome. 3's good.
All right.
I don't play that game.
I'm not good at that shit. Like,
for anybody going through a tough time right now, whether it's they hate their fucking job or they're just like down on the dumps or they watch the news too fucking much or they scroll all the time and they just have no direction whatsoever, what piece of advice or what thing helped you get through any kind of hard moment like that might be able to help somebody else?
I don't know what to tell people from my story to help them. But what I do know is I think you should get on a bicycle. I think if you can avoid food, sex, drugs, alcohol, cutting, if you could avoid these things and just get on a bicycle instead, that would probably work out better for you.
I love it.
All right, dope.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you back.
Appreciate you.